Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to America's holy city, Charleston, South Carolina. In the commissioning of USS Frank E. Peterson, Jr., DDG 121, I am Commander Chad Stewart, the ship's executive officer. It is my privilege to be your master of ceremonies today. We welcome those with us in person and our family and friends as they participate in today's event via the World Wide Web. We are here today to honor and celebrate a true trailblazer, the late Lieutenant General Frank E. Peterson, Jr. Lieutenant General Peterson, Jr. was the United States Marine Corps' first African-American aviator and general.
Any obstacle and approach every mission with determination and tenacity, fair winds and following seas. Thank you, and Semper Fidelis.
Thank you, General Berger. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Gail Peterson.
Good morning, everyone. So glad you are here. I want to thank you all for coming, and my comments will be brief. First of all, the Peterson family is extremely honored to have with us today the Secretary of the Navy, the Honorable Carlos Del Toro, the Commandant of the Marine Corps, General David Berger, and the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Michael Gilday. We are so pleased to have all three together here today for this ceremony. My father would be humbled by their presence. We would not, however, be having the ceremony today if it were not for a gentleman named Robert Adams. When my dad was shot down in Vietnam, he was rescued by Robert Adams, who is also here today. Please stand. My family is enormously appreciative that you were able to join us. My father had one grandchild, Frankie Peterson IV. Although Frankie Peterson could not be here with us today, his three children, my father's legacy, his great-grandchildren are here. I am pleased to introduce to you all, Miss Janiyah Peterson, 10 years old. Where are you, Janiyah? Wave to the people. Frankie Peterson V, our fifth series. He's 9 years old. And Miss Parker Peterson, who is 7 years old. They are happy to be here today to celebrate with us their beloved Granddaddy General. They are here with their mother, Janelle. A wise man once said, "This much I know, when the storm breaks, each man and woman act in accordance with their own nature. Some run, some cry, and some are struck dumb with terror. And some spread their wings like eagles and soar on the winds." Our father, Frankie Peterson, was an eagle. Today, I'm pretty sure you will hear a little bit about why I say this. In the meantime, on behalf of my father and the entire Peterson family, we would like to thank each and every person who worked on this ship from stem to stern. Family is so humbled by the Navy naming the ship after our dad. We could not possibly be more proud. This is a tremendously remarkable moment. Thank you to all who made this day happen. When I told my British cousin about this day, he said, "I am pretty sure your father exceeded his own expectations, and I agree. In closing, I leave Commander Hancock and the crew of the Frank E. Peterson with this blessing. May you always have fair winds and following seas, and remember this: life's roughest storms prove the strength of our anchors. And as my dad used to say, onward and upward. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the ceremony.
Executive, as an author, and even a filmmaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce another New Yorker named Carlos, a true patriot and inspiration, Secretary Carlos Campbell.
Good morning, Charleston. This is a great Navy Day. This is a great day for the United States Marine Corps. And it's a great day for America. I know there's a voice saying, Cube, keep it together. Secretary Del Toro, Secretary Penn, General Berger, Admiral Gilday, Admiral Howard, General Bolden, General and Mrs. Neller, Mrs. Clara Corrigan, Ambassador Britton, Congresswoman Mace, Mayor Tecklenburg, Captain Hancock, the entire crew of DDG 121, and distinguished guests, good morning. I want to begin by thanking the children of General Peterson. They've all been introduced. I watched them grow up. Dana, Gail, Lindsay, Monique, Frank III. Before he headed west, he told his wife, Alicia, that I was his third brother. I can't tell you how good that makes. There is an American icon, a mutual friend of ours that was born about 200 miles south of here, Jim Brown. And Jim Brown, the iconic football player and actor, said, participation is not about competition, it's about setting the standard. Jim and Frank were friends. They played chess one time, and Frank beat him twice. And Jim insisted on playing Frank until he won a game. And he looked at me and he said, Jim don't like to lose. The question is, who was Frank Emanuel Peterson Jr.? Who shaped his character? Now, the Marine Corps historians and other scribes have said he was the first black pilot in the Marine Corps. He was first black to command Squadron 314 and the first black to make flag. But that really does not begin to describe Frank Peterson. On his way to his first duty station after flight school, he went to El Toro, Marine Corps Air Station in California, and he was arrested for impersonating an officer. But he didn't whine, he didn't complain, he persevered. He went on to Korea, and he flew, earned a DFC, Distinguished Flying Cross. And at Jack Kemp's funeral, I had a conversation with the astronaut, Senator John Glenn, and we talked about Frank Peterson, who he knew in Korea. There were quite a few people in Korea flying for the Marine Corps: Ted Williams, Jerry Coleman, if you're baseball fans, Frank Peterson. Paul Tillich, the theologian, said the great anxieties of life are death, guilt, and meaningfulness. Ronald Reagan said, some people wonder all their lives if they've made a difference. The Marines don't have that problem. Nelson Mandela said, we are here to manifest the glory of God that is within us. That was Frank Peterson. The biblical injunctive of Micah says to pursue justice, embrace mercy, and walk humbly. I try to get at least two of those right. The Greek writer Nikos Kazantzakis said, until you have been crucified in this life, you're not ready for your resurrection. This was Frank Peterson. We met in Honolulu at a barbershop downtown. I was an ensign. An ensign's supposed to keep their mouths shut and their eyes open. And in walks this ramrod straight Marine captain pilot, and I was frankly intimidated. I got my nerve up and I introduced myself. I said, sir, I'm Ensign Campbell, VP 22, Barbers Point. With the biggest smile, he ran over and grabbed my hand and said, Frank Peterson, VMF 232, Kaneohe. That began an incredible 55-year friendship. In Vietnam, Frank Peterson, in an F-4, when he was a squadron commander, was hit by a surface-to-air missile, so he had to eject. He landed in a rice paddy, and this old Vietnamese was running toward him, so Frank went for his pistol, which he lost in the muck. But at Stead Survival School, he was told to have one around his ankle, so by the time he got that one, the old Vietnamese man grabbed a parachute and ran back the other way. In the meantime, CH-46 landed. Two guys jumped out to cover Frank. Frank gets up and he hobbles over to the CH-46. Helicopter pilot, who's already been introduced, Robert Adams, over there. He goes in and he starts doing the ritual black handshake called the dap. And Frank looked at him, I'm going to give you the cleaned up version. He said, knock off that black expletive and get this expletive out of here. And that story was verified by Robert Adams.